Hello everyone, welcome to Introverse Entertainment. My name is Marcelo, and today I'm going to try to share with you, as an old sea dog, the workflow for using artificial intelligence in extremely expensive processes, such as inking, coloring, and effects. The model we're going to use within OpenArt will be Nano Banana PRO, which to date, and after all my comparisons, is the model that works best for this. Let's go straight to the machine. And what I have here is all the work I've been doing with analog illustrations, because as I said before, I'm an illustrator, creator, author, mixed media. I can do illustrations for magazines, books, in a traditional way, analog or in a traditional digital way. And today I'm incorporating these tools into what would be the cost and efficiency structure. One thing before, this exercise we're going to see is better when we use our own references. Even so, we can create everything from scratch, but in this particular exercise, I'm going to teach you how to use this platform in this way. Here you'll see that all my IPs are here. For example, you'll see automatic inking based on artificial intelligence within this context. And why did we choose Nano Banana? We chose Nano Banana for two reasons. First, it's the only one that has fewer artifacts and hallucinates less when inking pencils that aren't fully defined. And on the other hand, it has a strategic advantage that its dataset pool is a bit wider. And when we give it an example to take into account the example, it takes it with more quality. For example, here, if you observe, I had the inks finished for one of the pages of this manga, but I did not have the inks completed for this other page. So what I did was place, in the reference input, the original style that I had used in my inks. Break time equals 0.5s / just to make sure everything would match up. For the contrast, and then the pencil image. Let's do it step by step. But we always put 1, we always choose 4K, and we always choose the page position format we need. And then we start exploring what we're going to fill our different boxes of the Omni reference with. It's very important to understand that the model will take the first image more into consideration. Therefore, I'm going to upload the image I want to ink. For example, here we have some pencil sketches. And secondly, the upload I'm going to do is the type of ink style that I want. With these two, inks and pencils, pencils and ink. So then, using a simple prompt, for example, the prompt I used, you'll see it's nothing extravagant. It's to ink the first image using the reference I had on the other side. That ink reference is what's going to tell it the level of visual weight, the line weight I want, the type of texture or hatching I'm aiming for, and of course the types of contrast between black and white. How much white there will be, and how much black there will be. Now then, there's a significant detail, and it's important to keep it in mind, which is that if the pencils are very weak and not well defined, what the model will do is fill it in with what it knows. Because what we're doing here is hiring the inking artist to ink our pencil drawings. While I always ink my own pencils, when we're doing high volume production, we sometimes need to rely on someone who does it for us. So I choose these two files. And I'm going to manage then to have material that's already inked. The quality we can achieve with the automatic inking of Nano Banana PRO on our illustrations is phenomenal. And the most important thing, I'll say this again because it's the most vital part, is for us to give it a sample of our own inks. And why am I helping you think about me doing the pencils and the machine doing the inks and color? Because the true artistic heart of the entire graphic work is in the pencils, and everyone knows this. When I give my material to someone else to ink, and it's not me, it's tough. It's very hard to find the right person. And for those who don't know about this, an ink page, the cheapest you can pay per page, is roughly between $25 and $75, depending on the artist. But if they're very good and they know it, you'll likely pay over $100 for the inking process. In a book that has at least 16 to 24 pages, you do the math. So, I believe all processes of this nature help us to be, first, more ourselves, because we can choose more precisely which details we want to highlight, and it empowers us. So, what's the secret behind this procedure? Giving it our pencils, turning them into inks, and then with those inks, starting to work on the color. For example, I'm going to give you the example of this one. I gave it the image I wanted, okay, and then I asked it to color it. In this particular case, I asked it to color it without me providing a reference. But in most of the cases you're going to see, I give it a color reference. So I go here and upload from the things I paint. I upload a color reference. And with that color reference, I'm doing exactly the same thing I did when I gave it the ink reference. And in the prompt, I don't have many things to put. The only thing I have to put, and a bit more extended to be more precise, is that I wanted to paint the inks, not change anything in the image, and only render the shadows and full colors. And in parentheses, I put painting style. If I put painting in general, what the model will do is directly take what it recognizes as that style. But I can be precise. I can tell it exactly what I want, and it will approach the illustration like that. What I told it was to do the color, to render it, to do digital painting with full colors, and to also do lighting effects and paint the whole page behind the inks. Now, importantly, if we don't want it to leave a visible white border, it's good to tell it not to do that. Every time we give it an instruction, as long as it's not confusing, the machine will understand it and proceed to do it. Well, that was color, as simple as that. We put the image in inks and tell it to paint it. I'm going to leave the two small and simple prompts down in the comments so that you can take them into account. And if you find that you don't understand how to build and compose a prompt, use Gemini from my perspective. Because Gemini for Nano Banana Pro will of course have much better documentation for building a prompt. In one of the cases, I told the machine to directly ink and paint. Here you can see. Let's go to the first one, where we have a landscape here. This landscape from a graphic adventure that mixes other elements. What I told it, the prompt is longer. What I told it was to do the inks and also do the color. Okay, both things. And what's the benefit of doing it like this? The good thing is that we save two processes. And we make it one, and the credits aren't spent twice on that. Do we have less control? Yes, but we can speed up the development process. Let me give you an example. If this were something a client asked me for the concept of a video game, a movie, a comic, whatever it may be, in just one single move, I can set it up, either with a reference or without one. Inks&Colors so that they can appreciate the structure. Of course, it's very important that you define in the prompt many of the color characteristics. You can also take a chance and see how this artist, whom we'll call colleague Nano Banana. Here comes colleague Nano Banana. What is he proposing to us? When we send something to a traditional artist, what they'll do is use their judgment and send us samples based on that judgment. So from those samples, we're going to take references of ideas that will actually go into the project and ideas where we say, honestly, this one isn't right. This can happen throughout our work with Nano Banana, and so we can be much more directive. For example, at one point, while designing one of the species, I gave Nano Banana some instructions that weren't enough for it to give me something I'd consider accurate. For instance, here it just went off on some crazy tangent, okay? So what did I tell it? No, wait, it's not like this. I gave it a better explanation, and then the result was exactly what I wanted it to be, okay? This is going to happen whether we're using flesh and blood people or these digital agents based on training for the automation of complex tasks. like painting a page, or inking it, or creating an image, okay. So from this point on, we'd already have the image to send, whether we're creating a map. Here, for example, this is my design. It was done in pencil, and what I did was turn the pencil into inks and color it in a single move. In one single stroke, which was spectacular. And honestly, not only did it do it well, but it also kept the text. And I send this to a company. And they're going to be super happy. And the nicest thing of all is that once we have these graphic elements well defined, we can take the model and tell it, okay, now this character, do it in these positions. Because we've already given it a very good knowledge base with the Omni reference examples. I think it's vital that we have a tool of this nature, of this level, to be able to work on the production aspect. Whether we're traditional artists, be they analog or digital, or we're new artists trying our hand as content producers, authors, to create our own market. Along the way, have more control and at the same time more personality. But what I find fundamental about this process, or this procedure, and I think what interests me most, is how with very few steps and with very few elements we can execute a high-quality professional workflow with great time efficiency. And that time efficiency is reflected in a lower cost and a better economic profit margin, and of course in a better competitive price in the market with clients, or with ourselves when it comes to producing. I remind you that OpenArt is a spectacular platform for creating, for iterating, for executing. We have spaces to save our information neatly in folders. We can use the chat to edit. The number of options to take the idea to the final execution are infinite. In its work structure, OpenArt is the most suitable option considering cost, value, and all of the different tools inside. You can go to the link in the description, you can make a trial account, you can redeem credits, join the Discord server, which is spectacular. I think I can recommend both things. I can recommend the quality of the tool within the application structure, which is going to have very interesting changes now. And I can also recommend the human group. There is always some offer. No, I do not know to what extent in the annual form. There is always some magnificent discount offer. And of course, if you are very convinced you are an entrepreneur and you want to join OpenArt fully, I recommend always starting from Infinite onwards. And if you realize that Infinite works right away, upgrade the next month to Wonder, because Wonder has a massive amount of credits, but also many discounts, which when putting together a budget for something is amazing. I think that last month with the discounts, they made a huge discount this past month, and I saved many dollars. I saved a lot of money. It is incredible. That has been all for today. I hope it is of great use. I leave you with a greeting. See you next time. Have a beautiful week. See you soon.